What's going on, boys and girls? Oh, I said in my match preview that I wanted a performance as well as a result. And boy, did I get both. That is a massive, massive win for Arsenal. That is an Aston Villa side that were coming into this off the back of 11 straight victories. This Aston Villa team was flying high, arguably the most informed team in Europe right now. A team that had just done us over a few weeks ago at Villa Park with a last-minute winner, and who probably thought they had the better of us. This is a massive win. If Villa would have won this, they would have gone level on points with us, and it would have given City the opportunity to go above us legitimately for the first time this season. This is a massive result. There is so much to cover. I'm going to try and do my best to get through it all. If I look at pre-match, I woke up around 5:30 this morning Melbourne time to the news that Declan Rice was out injured. I was absolutely fuming. In my opinion, Declan Rice is the one player in this Arsenal team that we don't even have. There is no replacement for Declan Rice. He is the heartbeat of everything that we do. And against this Aston Villa midfield, which is powerful, strong, fast, in my opinion, we needed Declan Rice to be able to try and combat that. And so when I realized that he was going to be missing for this game, I honestly was in serious panic mode. I didn't give us much chance, if I'm being honest. So I'm so glad that the team managed to prove me wrong. But that was a big loss, and I really hope it's nothing too significant because we have some big games coming up in January and we need Declan Rice. On a positive front, I was really happy to see that Gabby was back at centre-back alongside Saliba. I was a little bit concerned that this game was maybe a little bit too soon for him. But I think in a game of this magnitude, and given what Gabby is and the centre-back partnership he has with Saliba, you had to roll the dice and let those two start the game. I was delighted to see Ben White back on the bench. I thought he was going to be out for quite a long time, so to see him back on the bench already was a really promising result. Havertz as well on the bench, and so when you looked at our bench, it was a pretty strong looking bench. I was concerned about Marino in midfield. I thought he was going to get overrun in that midfield, and I think in that first half in particular, that's kind of what happened. Aston Villa, I thought, started quite well. I thought they were the better side overall in that first half. There was definitely that first kind of 20-minute period of the game, they were cutting through us so easily. Their midfield was just overpowering ours, which is what my concern was without Declan Rice and with Marino in there. And I think Onana and that Aston Villa midfield were just breaking through us way too easily. It was another one of those games where Arsenal seemed to be in relative control, seemed to have a lot of the ball, but we weren't creating anything. Gyökeres had a kind of half-chance header in the 7th minute. He had another good header opportunity where he actually for once cut inside the defender, got there first, got on the end of a Trossard clip cross and kind of headed it just wide and high. But outside of that, it was one of those games where Villa were the ones creating the chances, and they had some really good chances. Ollie Watkins in particular had 2 or 3 really good opportunities whereby you're probably saying he should have done a little bit better. And it was looking pretty nervy in that first half, I won't lie. We go in halftime at 0-0, and in my opinion, I'm sitting there going, we really need to try and take back control of this game. I thought Villa, as I said, were dominating that midfield, and in my opinion, if your midfield is winning the battle, chances are you're going to win the game. And so I thought that we needed to try and find a way to get back control in midfield in order to kind of take over the game and start to be the more dominant team and start to give us a chance to win the game. I think Onana coming off at halftime with an injury was a really fortunate outcome for us because I think he was dictating that midfield particularly. Marino was having a nightmare of a time trying to contain him and was basically just fouling him whenever he got the chance because he just couldn't get anywhere near him. But I think Onana coming off definitely helped us kind of wrestle back control a little bit. And then in the 48th minute, exactly what we needed, a nice early goal to settle the nerves. Big Gabby, set piece, ole, ole, ole. Saka crosses in a nice high floated corner. Martinez tries to jump over Gabriel, tries to claim it, doesn't claim it. It kind of bounces awkwardly off Gabriel's kind of head and shoulder and goes in the back of the net. Villa players are outraged, saying that Martinez has been fouled. Absolute nonsense. I don't know what Martinez was trying to do there. He should have just tried to punch that ball. And who else but Big Gabby to put us 1-0 up. And that is something we've been missing so badly these last couple of games. I've always said Gabriel defensively is a monster, but going forward, he creates so much panic on those set pieces and gets us so many goals. And so I was so happy for him to get that goal and for us to go 1-0 up. And then within a few minutes, Zubimendi puts us 2-0 up. And that's something that Arsenal haven't done enough of this season. We haven't, when we've taken the lead, we've sat back and we've tried to control the game. Very rarely do we go and go bang, bang with a goal and kind of put the game to bed. So I was delighted to see Zubimendi get that second goal. It was a beautiful bit of play from Odegaard. Drives forward, feeds it through to Zubimendi. Zubimendi doesn't even have to touch the ball. All he's got to do is poke it through. And it was a brilliant finish, actually. It was a really nice finish from Zubimendi. You know, Martinez comes out, makes himself big, and he's a big goalkeeper. And Zubimendi calmly just toe pokes it to the right of him, and it trickles in the bottom right corner for us to go 2-0 up. And at that point, I'm not sitting there going game over, but I'm thinking, right, we are in the ascendancy now, and it will be really hard for Villa to kind of wrestle back that ascendancy. 2-0 up, the game kind of ebbs and flows. Both teams have a couple of chances. And then in the 69th minute, Trossard puts us 3-0 up with a lovely, low driving right-footed shot into the bottom right corner. It came off the back of what I originally thought was a penalty to Timber. A couple of seconds before that goal went in, Timber gets brought down in the box. His arms are up in the air. I thought we were going to get a penalty. Next thing we know, the ball gets worked out to the left. It gets cut back in. Timber collects it. Was going to try and shoot. Trossard cuts in, rifles it bottom right corner, 3-0. They had a VAR check. I think they were looking at Nketiah possibly being offside in the build-up. It did look extremely close, but I think at the end of the day, we're talking millimetres. So really delighted for that goal to go in. 3-0. In my opinion, at that point, that's when I started to relax. That's when I felt like, okay, we've got this in the bag. Marino comes off in and around the 73rd minute for Norgard, which I was happy to see because I think Marino was already on a yellow card. He had a pull-down foul on Morgan Rogers, which in my opinion probably should have been a second yellow card. So I think that was a wise decision to bring Norgard on. And I was glad to see Norgard get some minutes in a big game like this. And then in the 77th minute, he does a double substitution with Jesus and Miles Lewis-Kelly for Gyökeres and Gabriel, who I think was just exhausted after being out for so many weeks. So I'm hoping that was just a case of a bit of cramp for Gabriel. And then within 60 seconds, Jesus with an absolute wonder strike. Trossard again, driving forward, crossing the ball square to Jesus, who uses the defender as a bit of a shield and curls it round the defender past Martinez in goal. And it was a beautiful goal. And it was such a deserving goal for a player of Jesus, who has been so unlucky with injuries in recent years. We all know Gabby Jesus is a quality player. Yes, there's been question marks around his ability to put the ball in the back of the net, but no one can doubt how much quality this guy has. And I really think we have missed him as a squad player, as a contributor to our cause. So I was just so delighted for him to not only score in such a big game, but to score such a beautiful goal. And, you know, he rips his shirt off and he's dedicating the goal to Jesus. And it's just one of those feel-good moments that you won't forget anytime soon. And next thing you know, we're 4-0 up. We're 4-0 up against Aston Villa, the most informed team in Europe, who are trying to compete for the Premier League with us. And we're 4-0 up at home and the crowd's rocking. Saka has another chance just after that in the 81st minute, where I think he should have done better. He was kind of one-on-one, trying to beat the defender. Normally, 99% of the time, he cuts back in on his left-hand side and tries to curl that in. I think he tried to catch the defender out, who was probably thinking he was going to shift it to his left foot and thought, I'll try and go on my right side and gain an edge. And he blasts it over. And I think Saka, this definitely wasn't one of Saka's best games. I was actually quite surprised in the fact that Arsenal took most of their attack throughout the whole game down the left-hand side. We're so used as Arsenal fans to see Arsenal basically all the attack go through Saka on that right-hand side. And I think Arteta knew that Aston Villa were going to double, triple man Saka. And so I think for once they wanted to try and lean on the left-hand side more than kind of relying on Saka. So I think it was a mixture of Saka not actually getting the ball as much as we're used to him getting the ball, but also just having a relatively quiet night. But the good thing about this performance was, for the first time in a long time, we didn't have to rely on Saka pulling it out of the bag. Other players stepped up. We made another double substitution in the 84th minute. Madueke and White came on for Saka and Timber, so it was great to allow Saka and Timber, who've played a lot of football, to get a bit of an early rest. If I'm being hypercritical of the team, I felt like once we made that double change, I think the last 10, 15 minutes, including the extra time, I think we stepped off the gas too much. We kind of slowed down a bit too much, and I think we invited too much pressure onto ourselves, which is to be expected. You know, there was a lot of energy and emotion that were put into that first 80 minutes. And when you're 4-0 up and you've made some substitutions, you expect that the levels will drop a little. Villa had a chance in the 91st minute where Watkins headers the ball onto the post. McGinn comes in, beats our defenders and somehow misses from like 2 yards out, hits it straight at Raya, and Raya saves it. But then in the 94th minute, a couple of minutes later, Marlon kind of bursts through the defence, gets past a few of our defenders too easily, in my opinion. Toe pokes the ball through Raya's legs, it hits the post, bounces out, and Watkins is there to tap it in. And I was really disappointed for us to concede that goal, because I think that's too many occasions now in recent games where Arsenal have conceded very late goals, and we need to cut that out. And I think Miles Lewis-Skelly was too slow to pick up Watkins coming in behind him. He should have been quicker on his toes to kind of kick that ball away. So that was a real disappointment to see us concede that goal. It would have been really nice to win the game 4-0, but that's me just being kind of overly critical and setting a real high standard for the team. If I look at star players, I thought Big Gabby was immense, if you consider that being the first start for him in a matter of weeks. He got the first goal, which is the most important goal in these types of games, and he looked really solid at the back. We need him to stay fit now for the rest of the season, because he is just so important. I thought Zubimendi was brilliant. This was one of his better games in a while. So happy that he got the goal. And yeah, I thought he was really good. I thought Odegaard was really good as well today. What I liked about Odegaard's performance in particular was the fact that he was getting more into those duels. In the first half, he was losing the duels and he wasn't looking to get stuck in, which is something I've been accusing him of recent weeks. But I think the second half, it was definitely an improvement in terms of wanting to put his foot in and wanting to have a go at trying to win some of these 50-50s. And then Trossard. I thought Trossard was really, really good today. And I think he's been really good all season. I think in the last couple of games, his kind of level has dipped a little bit, but I thought today he was superb. Like I said, a lot of our attack came down that left-hand side. And I thought Trossard from the goal, the assist, his work rate, he had a really top performance today. If I look at players who I think didn't play too well, it feels really wrong of me to go in on any player today in a result like this, where I think every player played their part. So I don't think anyone was particularly bad. I think the only one that I've already mentioned is Saka. I think by his standards, he was not quite at the races, but I think that was more down to the fact that just the way we attacked, it didn't really go through him tonight, which means that he wasn't central to everything we did moving forward, which is rare. But it's also a good thing to see that we can cause damage to another team without having to rely on Saka. So, like I said, and Jesus, I can't not mention Jesus. You know, if you think about the injury battles he's gone through in recent years, for him to come back and have that moment tonight was just a beautiful thing. So, yeah, an incredible result, a really good performance, and we can finally start kind of putting our chest out again and speaking with confidence. I think this will have shut a lot of rival fans up, particularly Aston Villa fans, Man City fans, and all those Chelsea, Tottenham, Manchester United fans who are just waiting for us to slip up. It was just a beautiful end to the year. And we move into 2026, 5 points in front of Man City, albeit having played an extra game. But we move into January feeling good about ourselves, feeling confident about a really encouraging result against a top team. So I couldn't be happier. Bring on 2026. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Let's go, Gunners!